Hello, buongiorno, buenas tardes, bonjour, Borida. Welcome to the United Nations Carrier Collaboration Portal Seminar for External Partners. My name is Brian Barachina Barreras, and I am the training lead for this project and will be your MC for today. For everyone's benefit, we would like to inform you that this session is being recorded. We are very excited to have you here with us today. This session was organized for over 800 vendor focal points, and we understand that you are spread out across the globe. We appreciate you joining us at this time and hope you will find this session useful. Before we dive into CCP, I would like to invite Mr. Joshua Kremers to say a few words. Joshua is the Chief of Aviation Transportation and Logistics Section in the United Nations Procurement Division. He has been instrumental in this initiative and onboarding external partners with his team. Over to you, Joshua.
Thank you very much, Brian, and good morning and good afternoon and good evening to everyone. Thank you for joining us today in this virtual information session on the Carrier Collaboration Portal, better known as the CCP. On behalf of the UN Procurement Division, we are very glad that you embrace this learning opportunity, which demonstrates to us that you not only take the commercial relationship with the UN, but also our technology solutions very seriously. Apart from our technical experts on this call today, I'm joined by several colleagues from the Procurement Division who are in charge of acquiring various goods and services. We all share a vision of strong partnerships with our suppliers, as well as a more integrated approach to information sharing. The rollout of the Transportation Management Track and Trace functionality in 2019 brought a very special first to many things for the UN Secretariat. For the first time, we deployed a solution that gives direct user access to our external partners in our systems. Another first is that we now have a real-time and live data analytics capability for our events reporting. These firsts enable the UN to make data-driven decisions like never before, and we expect benefits, including more rapid, effective, and responsive support for the UN's global supply chain operation. I would like to highlight that the UN Secretariat actively works with over 300 long-term contractors, and today's session was extended to over 800 focal points, and I think we have a very good number of companies represented on this call today. The Carrier Collaboration Portal, the CCP, captures transportation movements across the globe. It is a tool that helps us track the shipments and passenger movements for our global and local vendors, meaning our goods vendors, our freight forwarders, our air carriers, etc. This session is thus pertinent for our external partners to be able to gain access, actively use, and to be able to raise any issues should you have any. I do hope that you will find this session useful. I encourage you to post your questions in the chat and to take full advantage of this session. We will try to respond to as many questions as possible today, but we'll also consolidate questions and share answers with you in writing after today's event. I would like now to hand it back to Brian, please.
Thank you very much, Joshua. I would like now to invite Mr. Reza Khan, the Director of Umoja Coordination Services at United Nations, to share his thoughts. Reza has spearheaded the successful implementation of all Umoja project milestones relating to logistics, including organizational alignment, data cleansing, testing, communication, and training. Reza, over to you.
Thanks, Brian. Greetings, everyone. And it's good to see so many participants actually dialing in to this seminar. CCP is a web service that has been a critical piece in the supply chain of the United Nations. CCP has been an exciting solution for the UN as it brought much needed visibility for transportation operations. It has helped us providing better services to UN entities across the globe and ensures that the end-to-end supply chain uses advanced and modern technologies. As of to date, 325 vendor focal points have been provisioned, accessed, and onboarded to CCP. The CCP system today captures movements by around 147 global and local vendors and provides interface to report events over 92 freight forwarders that our organization works with. Now more than ever, we rely on CCP to get a better understanding of our movements and shipments, and this session comes at a very good time. Before we go deeper into CCP, I would like to take this opportunity to extend my gratitude to our colleagues from the Procurement Division and the Enablement and Outreach Service in the Office of Supply Chain Management. I would also like to commend the effort of Umoja Coordination Service training team based in Valencia, Spain, for organizing this session today, and the service desk team based in Brindisi for their constant support and guidance provided to external partners. I really sincerely hope you will find today's session informative in terms of how the CCP website works. And thank you so much for joining, and over to you, Brian.
Thank you so much, Reza. I know that many of you have access to the system and may know your way around. However, there have been raised concerns in the recent past inquiring on access to the web application, receiving support, and even how to actually use CCP. Today, we have prepared a video which we believe will provide you the answers you seek, as well as deliver further insight on the benefits and usage of the Carrier Collaboration Portal. We encourage you to use the Q&A chat that you will find on the right side of your screen to post your questions anonymously regarding CCP, and we will actively reply to them in the chat box. Please also feel free to make the most of this session and clarify any questions you may have. Any issues and/or concerns are welcome during the live stream. So let's get started, and we hope you find the video informative and useful.
Hello and welcome to the Carrier Collaboration Portal training presented to you by the Umoja Coordination Services for the United Nations Department of Operational Support. My name is Adrian Pugh, and this training is split into two parts. The first part will be delivered by myself, and the second part will be delivered by my colleague Brian Barreras. During these sessions, feel free to ask any questions in the chat or Q&A. In the first part, we will cover account creation, account activation, and technical support. In account creation, we will look at the two primary steps in order to create the user account to access the Carrier Collaboration Portal. These are 1. The UN sends the form to the business partner, and 2. The business partner returns the completed form. First, the UN focal point will send the TM contact sheet to the business partner by email. Here's what the TM contact sheet looks like. You will need to enter the data for each individual within a company who requires access to the Carrier Collaboration Portal in these cells. There are some important do's and don'ts when completing this form. The first, only one line per user. Don't use any duplicates or blank email addresses. Make sure to use your primary company email address as well. Please don't use any private or generic email addresses. In this form, you can add up to 5 accounts. If you require additional accounts, please use a separate form. Do not add any additional lines. Finally, also review the example that we've created for you up here. There is no need to change the formatting. Once you've completed the TM contact sheet, simply return the file to the UN focal point. The UN focal point will then submit the request in the UN CRM system. Next, a series of tasks will be completed for the user to access the Carrier Collaboration Portal. And that covers account creation. Once the user account has been created, each individual will need to activate their own account. To do this, the user will receive an email with the user ID and a temporary password, highlighted here. If you have not received this email, please check your junk and spam folders for the email. You will need to follow the instructions in the email. These instructions and credentials are all together in the one email. Simply follow these instructions and then add your new password. Once you've added your new password, you will need to add a recovery email address and click Submit. Before proceeding, you must also confirm the recovery email address. Another email will be automatically sent to you to confirm the recovery email address. Simply click on the link in the email to confirm your recovery email address. Next, you will need to secure your account. Simply return to the same link in the activation email, enter your user ID and your new password, and then you will need to secure your account by choosing a secret phrase and 3 secret answers to a set of predefined questions. Once you have completed the activation, we can then proceed to provision you with the access to the Carrier Collaboration Portal. And that covers account activation. Now, let's take a look at technical support for the Carrier Collaboration Portal. The Emoja Support Center is the primary support group for the Carrier Collaboration Portal. You can contact the Emoja Support Center by email or by telephone. Let's take a look at some of the most frequently asked questions. I haven't activated my account, or my user ID is no longer active or valid. Simply contact the Emoja Support Center. They can resubmit the activation email for you. I have forgotten my user ID. Simply, to retrieve your user ID, go to uniteid.un.org, click on the link Forgot Your Unite ID, or you can contact the Emoja Support Center. I have forgotten my password for Unite Identity or user ID. To reset your password, go to uniteid.un.org and click on the link Forgot Your Password, or you can contact the Emoja Support Center. I cannot access CCP or the Carrier Collaboration Portal. Simply contact the Emoja Support Center. They will analyze and assist you in resolving the issue. For all other issues or queries, simply contact the Emoja Support Center, who will be able to assist you. And that covers technical support. Thank you. And now over to my colleague, Brian, for part 2.
Thank you, Adrian. Now that we have activated our account, we'll be able to access the Carrier Collaboration Portal and begin using its features. This brings us to the second session of the day, where we will cover the following topics: access to CCP and navigation, submission of events, and how to add notes and attachments to CCP. Under CCP navigation, we will show you how to access to CCP using your credentials, how to search for freight orders and access them, as well as how to use the display settings CCP offers. CCP is accessed through the following link. You'll be directed to the following page, where you'll be asked to enter your user ID and password to log into the system. In case access to the system is not possible, kindly refer to the troubleshooting presentation to understand how to proceed. Once you have successfully logged in, you will be directed to the CCP homepage, which will provide you with the number of freight orders assigned to your company. The homepage of the Carrier Collaboration Portal shows the number of freight orders ready for execution. Click on the Freight Orders for Execution box to access the freight orders. So let's add the link to access CCP in the URL field. And now once we click on enter, we'll be guided to the login page where we will add our username, the one that was provided to us in the access email, as well as the password we may be using now to log in with the previous username. Once we add our password, we simply click on continue, and the system may ask us to add an answer to our security question, which we will add here. We'll click on OK as well, and we will find directly the homepage for CCP, where we can also see the freight orders for execution that we have, which in this case, particularly for this scenario, there's 350. We can click on the freight order box and access the freight orders for execution, where we will see all of them displayed in one single view. Refresh and export options in CCP. Once the freight orders for execution assigned to your company have loaded, you can refresh the freight orders displayed by clicking on the refresh button. You can also export the freight order list and download as an Excel. Once in CCP, just click on the refresh button here at the top left corner, and you'll see how the page refreshes the number of freight orders that are visible on screen. Then click on Export to export the list of freight orders into an Excel. Once you have a confirmation window, just click on OK to download the Excel. Quick filters. The quick filter option will allow users to display freight orders based on their status: open, closed, canceled, blocked freight orders, and all statuses combined by clicking on All. The quick filter option in CCP displays the open freight orders, as we can see here on screen, as well as the closed, if any. In this particular case, there is no data. Same for the canceled, and the same for blocked. If you click on all, you will see all types of freight orders. Details view and table view. The freight order view can be summarized using the detailed view option, or a more in-depth view can be selected by clicking on the table view. Let's take a look at how the freight orders are displayed using the table view. The table view displays all documents, locations, events, times, and dates linked to the freight orders carriers will manage. There are two types of views for freight orders in CCP. We have the detailed view, this one I'm clicking on right now, where we can see a quick snapshot of the freight orders and very brief information linked to each one of them. As we scroll down, we see that we basically have a next open event, source location, destination location, and so on, and a number of different pages that we can move on to. Under the table view, we have a much broader view of the freight order details. For example, source locations, street names, delayed events, and if we scroll over to our right, even the city name, destination location, postal code, and all sorts of details for each and every freight order, of course ending up again in RPOs, freight POs, and MOU reference numbers. Additional filter options. Carriers can filter freight orders further by selecting the filter icon and choosing a start and end date for the freight orders they want to display on screen. The filter option works very well when we want to view freight orders according to a specific time frame. For example, in this case, we can select a from date, which could be the 1st of November, and then the final date, which could be the last day of November, as we do here. Once we have the dates, we click on Apply Filter, and we'll see that eventually we only see the month of November displayed under the planned date and time column. This way we can avoid seeing too many freight orders in one shot, and we can also sort them in ascending or descending order depending on what we want to look for in a particular case. If we decide to now get rid of the filter, we simply have to go back to the filter button and clear the filtering option and return to the default screen. Search for individual freight orders or search by documents linked to it. Add a particular freight order by inputting the number of the freight order in the search box. You can also perform a broader search by typing the purchase order number, stock transfer order, or MOU. If we use the search box in the top right corner of the CCP page, we can perform a search by a freight order number, a PO number, freight PO number, or MOU reference. Whatever it is that we would like to summarize the view with. For example, in this case, I'm using a PO number, which in turn returns 4 freight order documents. These 4 freight order documents are linked to that one specific document, that one PO that I performed the search for. So I know with that PO number, I can simply submit the events for that freight order. If by the contrary, I now add a freight order number, I will have one single freight order displayed on screen that I can work with. Let's move on to settings. If open freight orders that are assigned to your company do not display automatically, please do the following. Click on Settings on the main home CCP screen. The General tab allows setting time zones, units for distances, and refresh intervals for freight orders in the home screen. Your time zone option will display freight orders according to the time zone selected. The location-specific time zone checkbox will display the freight orders according to the time zone in the expected location. Distance can be displayed in kilometers as well as miles. The refresh interval allows users to set the refresh intervals in seconds, and settings can be reset. Click on OK when you're done. The Freight Order Management tab allows changing days in the past and all future dates to a larger number than 30, or to simply choose all dates to display all freight orders. Click on OK to confirm settings. The Settings option in CCP will allow us now to set our time zone if we're using the General tab. For example, your time zone, in this case mine is CET. We can select from a large variety of options, as we can see here. By selecting our time zone, all the freight orders will show our direct time zone in their time and end date. While if we select the checkbox for the location-specific time zone, all those time zones will now reflect the location-specific time zone. As I'm showing you on screen now, every single planned date and time will be reflected in a specific location time zone. For example, here, UTC +3 or CET. Now, if I go back and uncheck the box and leave my own time zone and click on OK, all locations, dates, and times will reflect my particular time zone, or the one that I have selected from the dropdown. Now, also in the General tab, we can see the distance options in kilometers or miles, and we can also set the refresh interval for the home screen to 30 seconds, 60 seconds, even 120 seconds, whatever works for us. We can also reset our settings and go back to the default settings that CCP had initially, which is what I'm going to do now, just writing 30 in the box and clicking on OK. Now, the Freight Order Management tab will also allow us to display a different number of freight orders available to us. So we may not see all the freight orders at once, but CCP allows us to make changes to that. Like here, I'm going from 30 to 60, and when I click on OK, my freight order number will change to 357, as you can see here on screen. If I do this again and now remove the number of freight orders and actually click on the All Dates radio button and click on OK, I will now have many more freight orders displayed because I have selected all dates available for freight orders. So you see now 894 after I clicked on the All Dates button. I can go back to my settings option and now here go back to the days and select a range, for example 30, and click on OK. We will now cover how to submit expected and unexpected events, as well as the automatic notification features. CCP allows the submission of events occurring at each location, as well as those events that occur while transporting goods from one location to another. Let's begin with expected events. These events are defaulted in CCP by location. These are some examples you'll be submitting and are considered expected as they already planned for. To submit events, freight orders must be selected or accessed. Expected events can be submitted through the quick menu option available in CCP. Select the freight order and click on Confirm Next.
add the date, time for the expected event, and a related comment. And finally, click on Confirm to submit the event. To submit an event through the Quick Menu option, we simply select one freight order line and then click on the Confirm Next button. What we can see on the display is that for this particular freight order that I have selected, our next open event is Handover Document. If I click on Confirm Next, I can see that I am going to confirm the very first event, which is the Handover Document event. There's a planned date, and now I'm going to report the actual date that this event occurred in, as well as the time, again in my own time zone, as you can see on the right, CET, and then I will add a comment if necessary to this event submission, which in this case I'm going to write Handover Document attached. Then you click on Confirm, and this event will be submitted. Now we will submit events by accessing a freight order. Click on a freight order to display event details for expected events at each location. To report an expected event, add the date and time for the event reported, and a comment if required. Click on the green check mark to finalize submission. Clicking on the Update Events button will refresh the page and display any pending submissions for a particular freight order. Once we access a freight order to submit expected events, we will see the freight order details, as I'm showing on screen now. The status, the means of transport, if there are dangerous goods, which are always set to no by default, and even the distance. We also see the business partners, as can be shipper and consignee. And also right below it, we'll see the notes section and any additional information related to POs, freight POs, and MOU references. In the middle section at the top of our screen, what we're going to find is the location events. Here's where we're going to be submitting expected events in CCP. We see that they're separated by location, and the events are below. As we can see, the very first event, the Handover Document event, is the one I just submitted now using the Confirm Next or Quick Menu option from the home page. Now, if I want to submit any other of the expected events that are already displayed on screen, you can simply start adding the date and times to each one of them. We'll see that CCP offers the options to submit expected events for each specific location, as I'm showing now on screen. Every specific location has its expected event. To do that, we simply look for one of the events we're going to submit, for example, the loading begin, which is planned for November 2nd, and we're going to add the actual date. In this case, I'll add October 30th and write the proper time, as well as any comment I consider necessary. Once you've added a comment, and again, it's only optional, you simply click on the Actions green check mark to submit this event and add it under the expected events list as an event that has already been submitted. To make sure that there are no pending items to submit, just click on Update Events, and the screen will refresh and ensure that you're looking at the latest submissions. As we can see now on screen, we have 2 expected events that have been submitted. One for November 2nd, according to plan, but was reported on the 30th. The same thing for the loading begin. If an expected event is missing for a particular location or needs to be added, it can be reported by clicking on Add Event. Select a new event from the drop-down menu. Adding events to the expected events list will automatically be considered by the system as an unexpected event by location. Do not add an event that is already displayed by default. If by any chance we do not see one of the expected events to submit per location, we can always click on Add Event and search for any events that were not there by default. Now again, these will always be considered unexpected. You see in the drop-down the list of events that we have, even some that are exactly the same as the ones that are displayed by default. So remember, do not select one that is already displayed. You should always select a different type of event to submit by location. Never one that is there already by default. So in this case, I'm going to select Ready for Loading. I'm going to report this event date as well as the time, and I'm going to add a comment as I did for any of the other expected events.
I'll click on confirm. Once the expected but unexpected event is being submitted, it will reflect differently on the list. As we can see, the ready for loading event does not have a planned date and time, but it does report the way the others do under the reported date and time, and my comment also reflects. And now for unexpected events. These events are not defaulted in CCP. Here are some examples you could be submitting and are considered unexpected as they are not planned for. The Tour of Events section in CCP allows carriers to submit unexpected events that occurred during travel from one location to another. Once the event is selected from the drop-down and date, time, and comments are added, carriers can click on Confirm to submit the unexpected event. For unexpected events, under the section Tour of Events in CCP, we would simply have to add any event, and any of these events will be considered unexpected, no matter which one we submit. There are no planned events, as we can see, as these are always those events that occur from one location to another, so in between locations, things we cannot plan for, and therefore they are called unexpected events. In this case, I'm adding one called delay. I'm also reporting the date and time and adding a comment just like I did for any other expected event. Once I submit by clicking on confirm, I will see the event submitted under the Tour of Events section, once again without a planned date and time, but every other information I've reported, as can be the date and time, as well as my comment. Remember, to submit an unexpected event, go to the section Tour Events in CCP. Notifications. Email notifications are sent automatically to UN staff members for certain expected events, as well as delays on expected event submissions. Email notifications are sent automatically when unexpected events are reported. Procurement Division will be notified when the unexpected event is either cost change or route change. Here's a sample of an email notification received after an event submission. Let's move on to the final topic of today's workshop, adding notes to freight orders and upload freight order documentation. CCP allows carriers to submit notes for freight orders. The notes box is available for communication between CCP, good vendors, freight forwarders, and TM planners. The option of adding notes should not be used for non-critical events, but for generic messages between the carriers and UN's Procurement Division. To submit a note in CCP, after it has been added to the notes box, click on Add Note. Once a note is submitted, the message added will appear below the notes box. Clicking on Update Events will refresh the page in case of pending items. So let's submit a note in CCP. To do so, go to the box found on the left under the Details section for the freight order and simply add a note under the Notes section, as I'm going to do now. Again, remember, do not add any critical messages in this note box. This simply could be used to add generic messages and communication between carriers and also UN staff members. For example, here I'm adding a slight delay in loading just to show to you how this submission of notes works. And I'll finish with loading successful. Now, once you want to submit the note and it's completed, you simply go to the right bottom section and click on Add Note. Once you do that, you'll see, if we return to the notes box, that now it will show underneath with the date and time and the note that you've just added. So very simple. Again, we simply go into the Notes section box, add a quick note, nothing extremely important, only simple messages, and we click on Add Note, move back to our section and see that it's been submitted. A transport-related documentation can be uploaded to CCP by carriers and viewed by UN staff members in the Transportation Management module. To attach a document in CCP, click on Browse at the bottom of the page. Select a document and click on Upload to upload it to CCP. The document will now be visible under the Attachment section in CCP. Clicking on Update Events will refresh the page in case of pending items. To add an attachment in CCP, simply scroll to the bottom of the page where the Attachment section is found, and to attach a file, go to Browse,
This will automatically link the documents on your computer to CCP, and you can select one of the documents that you have to attach to a specific event. For example, in this case, I'm simply going to attach a Word document, which now the Word documents, as well as PDFs, Excels, and other formats of documents can be attached to CCP. Once you have added the document under the browsing section here, you simply click on Upload, and now the document will show under one line under the attachment section, as we see here, with the type of document that has been attached. It'll also display who did the attachment and when was it last changed on. We're simply clicking on Update Events to ensure that everything we display on screen is the latest information we have. We can also delete the attachment by clicking on the bin, clicking on Yes, and you'll see now that there's no more data. For your information, we are also sharing a transportation infographic displaying the event to submit according to location, as well as the corresponding document to attach. The glossary of terms will help you understand terminology in CCP. We would also like to share with you a number of CCP tutorials that can be found on our YouTube channel. Simply use the link provided and navigate to the content. There are a large number of CCP materials that can be found on the Umoja website. Use the link to access the content. This concludes today's training session. We thank you for joining us and hope you will have all the tools you need to access and use the Carrier Collaboration Portal. Thank you.
1 second. So I'm just going to show you the few slides that we want you to keep in mind, right, that we believe are quite important for you to remember. The first thing is sending the form, right? So UNPD EOS focal points are sending the contact sheet for CCP to the business partners by email. What we're expecting you is to fill in the sheet or the contact form and send it back to your focal point in PD so that we can ensure that you receive the access to the system. So we've been discussing this for a while, so this has to be clear. You've received your form from the focal points in PD, you fill out this contact form, send it back, and then we will, of course, through some time that you'll see in the presentation, you'll gain access to the system. Now, if by any chance you should have had access to the system but still don't, some things are not clear, there's no problem. We are sharing with you the contact information, which is on screen now, the Umoja support@un.org email, and the phone number that you can take note of now, or once you receive this presentation, you can also have access to. We also want to let you know that we have the tutorials, videos ready for you on YouTube. So basically just by clicking on the link in the presentation itself, you'll be directed to YouTube, or you can copy the link and go and see the tutorial videos that we have for you on CCP, which cover the basics from the settings to the submission of events, the notes, the attachments, unexpected events, and so on, all broken down for you. Also, the materials that we have shared with you and the link to them is here in the presentation we will share as well. All materials linked to CCP, following the link umoja.un.org/CCP. And those are the 4 slides I wanted to make sure that we focused on before we called it a day. After we have shared these slides with you, I basically just want to say that we will reach out once again to all these questions we have not been able to answer. We'll reach out to you with a document with the questions and the answers written down. We will also share these videos with you that we have shared today, and also the presentation. Now, we would like to extend our sincere gratitude to you for participating today and to everyone involved in today's initiative. A special thanks goes out to our colleagues in Procurement Division and the Enablement and Outreach Services for their constant support. Okay, from myself, honored guests, and all of the team who participated in this event, stay safe, arrivederci, adios, au revoir, and goodbye.